It's horrible. I'm
Hello,
sweating.
and welcome to your focus hour on Thursday. Everybody wave hello to all the people watching the recording. Yes, hello. Look at these amazing students showing up on Thirsty Thursday, ready to learn. Love it. All right, Kellemer, you said you have a question. Why don't we just start with that?
Well, it's about equipment, and yes, I don't know if I should ask the question now. So just because we're in coronavirus time, right? And then
wait for it.
Yeah.
Wait for it. I love that you're thinking ahead. That is definitely on my list of discussion topics.
Okay, great.
There you go, Nicole. Shove that stuff down your gullet. It's all good. And Kelsey, are you going to have some questions too, or are you trying to catch a mosquito? Is that... No, not catching a mosquito. Can't hear you.
Oh, I'm here. Okay, hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I emailed you like literally an hour ago. Obviously, you haven't seen it.
No, I just emailed you back 10 minutes ago.
No. Well, the Zoom meeting.
Yeah, I emailed you this afternoon. I emailed you back.
I know, I got that.
Okay, good.
Like, there's no way you would have seen that yet. So I assume you're getting all ready for this. So I don't know if anybody else is having issues with this, but I'm having a horrible, horrible time trying to figure out this 32 count and cueing and counting the reps and counting the music. And my brain needs steps and I am not getting it. So I don't know if anybody else has like a thing that they've done.
We can allocate just a couple minutes to this, but other than that, I want to stick to being on topic for our focus hour today. So does anybody have any tips to give Kelsey? Because she's heard it from me, right? But it's good for her to hear it from other people too. What's been your method of really solidifying 32 count music?
I think that for me, like the first step is just like listening to like the playlist like over and over, just really getting to know the music, and then mapping out my moves, and then starting to like put my moves together with the music without cueing. And then once I nailed that, then I just kind of started gradually like cueing, not like officially. I wasn't worrying about like cueing on like the 5 count, but just figuring out like what made sense to say and where. And like I left notes, like sticky notes for myself, like all over the place. And then really just practicing like cueing on the 5 count and on the beat. That was like a helpful way to do it for me. Anyone else?
Yeah. Anyone else have a method that they use that worked well for them?
I would echo what Ariel said. I probably, like most people, did like 15 videos until like I'd screw up, like, and then I'd start over again. But I noticed that I started counting too much. I'd be like 8, 7, 6, and instead of doing that, which gets to be like a drill sergeant, I really just listened to one song, because the one song that I had on my 32 count list was like 3 minutes and 40 seconds. So I knew that entire song was going to fit for my movement prep. And so then I wrote out I think it ended up being 9 moves that I just did consecutively that kind of built on each other. And I knew that at the buildup of the 32, that's when I was going to change my move. So like what Ariel said, I just listened to it over and over and over again. And then I knew when this beat ramped up, I was going to switch into side lunges. So I wasn't counting out loud as much as I would say, okay, we're going to do lateral lunge right. And I knew that because I was hitting that top of that 32. I think it just comes down to just pick one song and listen to it over and over and over and over again. And that's kind of what helped me.
Yeah, I agree with what Nicole and Ariel said. I think it's just really listening to it. And I like what Erin, thanks, doing the box and counting each of the beats. And I think if you do that, because I find myself driving the car and just kind of like doing the box in my head, and I think that absolutely helps. And just, repeating that over and over again, waiting for the music shift, and, trying to add the cues in from there.
I will add, and I'm not sure, I will add just to break things down what I'm saying is, so I haven't sent my video because I'm still like counting, like, oh my goodness. But what I decided to do is just to dominate one thing at a time. Yeah, just one, I'm taking one component at the time. My video is going to be on time. I mean, I think I got it just now. But about cueing, I'm not sure if, I don't think I'm perfect with cueing yet. Yeah, so I think I got the movements. I don't know. Yeah. See you tomorrow.
That's good. And then, Kels, I don't know if you can read the chat, but Claire is asking a question. I'll read it for you. For context, Claire is a musician, so this happens to be something musicians kind of already have ingrained in them. Okay, so they're a little ahead of the game. I was in marching band. That's why I literally moved to the beat when I'm walking through Target. So again, that made it easier. But she wants to know, is it being able to find the beat, or is it being able to find that downbeat? Or are you confused by what is the upbeat and the downbeat? Because these are all just the technical details of music in general. So what do you think it really more is? Because I've been hearing the same thing from you.
Oh, I know what it is. You're fine. No, I've listened to the song. So I'm pretty sure I have the same playlist as everybody else. I follow you now, Aaron, and I just picked the first one that was on your list, and then I sent it to my mentors. And now we basically talk about that playlist, and that's it. I know the music. I know my moves. I'm having a lot of issues with the cueing and when to cue. And my brain does not think to say 5, 6, 7, 8. My brain says ready, set, start lunges, or start squats.
That's fine.
Or
there is no set script here. It's just one way of doing it. And also we're always going backwards, remember? So 8, 7, 6, 8, 7, 6. But if you don't want to use numbers and you want to say ready, set, go, that's still, so you got to understand the big picture. When it comes to your cueing, counting down is one way to do it. But what you're really doing, big picture, is you're letting the people know that the change is about to happen and here it is. Boom. That's really all it is. So if you need to develop your own way of making that happen, that's okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and Danielle's typed in here a little bit too. She's just saying, she's suggesting practicing movement without any cueing. And that's kind of what Ariel was saying too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, don't worry, Kelsey, you're gonna get it. I love you, and we're just gonna be really open and honest with each other in these focus hours. You're overthinking it, babe. You know you are. We've talked about it before, but you're not the only one that's doing that, so don't worry.
Yeah.
In Zumba, we show the movement before. Is that okay? Before, before people have to do the movement? Is that okay?
Yeah, actually, that's the next level, is once you're able to verbally cue ahead of time, then you also need to start physically cueing ahead of time. Yeah, so that is something that we will work towards. I haven't laid it on your plate yet because it's not important yet. If you've already got it, awesome. And I've seen some pretty good videos so far, so I'm pretty psyched, you guys. I had my first 2 feedback sessions today, and it was kind of like, you're amazing. That was awesome. And they're like, really? I'm like, yes, you are doing really well. Own that moment, so it's all good. All right, we're going to shift our brains here really quick. So today's subject is all about virtual classes, virtual programming. And the reason that I'm bringing this up, you guys, is because in Illinois, they just extended our stay-at-home order till the end of May. Okay, some of your states are opening up earlier than others, so you're going to have a chance to get out and practice in a different way. You're going to have a chance possibly to go back to the gym sooner. But not everybody's going to be in that situation. And you never know, too. We've been hearing about this second wave that might come about, so we might shut down again. So it's important, I think, for us to talk about this so that you can continue practicing the skill set that you're developing right now. But we want to talk about, how am I going to do that effectively? And how am I going to do that responsibly? Okay, and I sent you to those people that I know, my criteria for the people that I sent you to, number 1 was they need to be a master at their craft to begin with, right? So you need to have a certain foundation of master before you really start throwing that stuff out there. So master trainers, Elevate ambassadors, We've got, we had faculty members too. Some of your live lab facilitators are doing this stuff. And so it was also a way for me to connect you to them again, which is great. I love it when I can do that. But, you know, the other thing too is I'm only sending you to people that have kind of started understanding how to live in this virtual world better than others. Because even though you're a master instructor, like there's certain master instructors that are just not nailing the technology.
Mhm.
So I'm not going to send you to them either. I wanted you to see really high level examples of what is possible in the virtual world. So, I mean, my first thought for you, and this is just going to open up into discussion, is we have basically 4 different modalities that you can use, right? One is Zoom, which you guys are already pretty familiar with, which is awesome. We have Facebook Live, which turns into a video, but it starts as Facebook Live. We have YouTube videos, which of course are banked and you can always go back to. You can edit them. They can look a little bit more professional. They're not done live. And then the 4th is, of course, Instagram Live or Instagram TV for longer videos, longer than a minute videos. So just show of hands first. How many of you have taken a Zoom class, a live Zoom class recently? Okay, all right. That's quite a few. How about Facebook Live class? Awesome. All right, YouTube videos. Everybody's like, yeah, Erin, your homework. It's inundated with YouTube. And then, of course, Instagram Live. Nice. Okay, so you guys have kind of done a bunch of stuff. How many of you are on Instagram, have an account on Instagram? Oh, this is great. Okay, that's awesome. That's a huge step. A lot of people have kind of rejected Instagram because they don't want to keep track of all of it. Fair warning, Instagram's where it's at now, you guys. Facebook's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have those 4 modalities. Let's just talk. Let's open discussion. Which one do we think is best and why?
I think that they're different. I think they're all different. I don't think that it's like a one size fits all. I think I can see myself wanting to start maybe with YouTube because it's like a slow approach. It's not as much pressure. But Instagram is great for building your brand. Like and you can also like utilize like your friends and have people you already know start to join your classes. Yeah.
Which one is best for music? Or like people listening to music? The live ones? Or
Which one? Say it again.
which ones are best for music? Like I've been, you know, I experienced some horrible problems with Zoom and music, and yeah.
Yep, that's something to consider. We're going to dig deeper into that in just a sec because that is a big issue with virtual classes.
Yeah. I like Zoom because it's interactive and you can see others, you can see you feel like you're actually in a room with people because there's participants and you feel like you're working together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Zoom is like the best quality for live. The only problem is that you're relying on people to have a technology set that allows them to get into Zoom. So if they don't have it already, they have to download it. They have to figure out how to turn on their camera if they want it on. How does their volume work? How do they mute themselves? So there's more prep leading up to that, where if someone's just popping on Facebook, the video just shows up. They don't have to do much.
Plus you have to reach your audience like beforehand in order to get people to join your Zoom. Whereas like on Instagram, you're kind of like reaching your audience as you're doing it in a way. You're starting. Some of you could be way ahead of that.
I think it's for growth. Like if you want to grow, you want like other people to share your live videos. They can invite people specifically. If you have a post like talking about your live video, they can add that post to their story. So I think like as far as growth goes, Instagram would be the way to go. But the most effective as far as like having participants and being able to check for them and all that stuff would be Zoom.
And Ethan here typed in, I think that Instagram is the best if you can get engaged with people, but you don't have to feel as if someone is seeing you and judging your setting. Instagram, I also feel, is easier to connect to a wide age group, a wide demographic.
Yeah.
I think it's the best because, like I said, with mine, like at least when I do it, I can not have to so much as like see her watching me when I do it and not feel judged if I mess up. But at the same time, I can still engage with the comments or whatever. And I can go back, like even if you start like right in the middle, like I can go back to the beginning of his or hers meeting, Instagram Live, and then still continue on.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
I'm writing all this stuff down, so. Yeah.
Something that comes to my mind about social media is just like personal accounts versus workout accounts. Like I am not a private person, but I am in the sense that I don't want the whole world knowing like my family and stuff. And I'm protective over that and who else is exposed because I'm doing something that's more public. So, you know, if you're doing Facebook Live, if you're doing Instagram streaming, like my Instagram account is locked. You can't see anything, you know, unless I allow you to. So learning about that a little bit, like, you know, are you going to have a fitness account? Are you going to use your personal account? Pros, cons, that type of stuff too. Because for me, that I wouldn't gravitate towards Instagram like Ethan would because my account is pretty much locked down.
And that does bring up a good point. I think Ariel touched on this just a little bit when she mentioned brand building. And it is something that that whole subject is something we will dig into during one of our Tuesday night webinars because it's a part of our actual curriculum now, which I think is relevant, absolutely relevant. And it is definitely worth having that conversation, not only with each other, but with yourself. So for right now, I want you guys to think about as you come into this portion of your new life, your new career, if it's time to start a new Instagram, if it's time to start a new Facebook page, now's the time to do it and let that be just your fitness brand, right? And when we say brand, like it does not mean like, hey, Adidas, hey, McDonald's, like those are big brands. What it really means is what's your identity? What is your fitness professional identity? And cultivating that is a great time to start right now, to start cultivating that. What does it really mean? And having that very focused. And like on Facebook, for instance, I mean, for me, Facebook, I post more personal family things because that's how I talk to all of the older people in my family. And that's where their access point is, right? But on Instagram, it's pretty much all health and fitness. Okay. So that is something that you're going to want to like discover for yourselves and just think deeply about it for a day. Now's a great time to start a new account. Let me see. We've got a couple things popping through. Like Kaylin, she's saying, I don't think I have one that I think is the best. I think they each have their strong suits. For me personally, I like Instagram Live for the fact that if I know one of my favorite instructors is going live, it's going to get me out of bed. There you go. Like here, it's happening now, right? It's not going to be recorded. So there's something to that, right? And then I also like YouTube because it's more on my schedule when you need to give yourself some grace. Okay, and Cece's saying Instagram is the #1 marketing tool in the world. Well, I'm not going to disagree with you there, girl. That's the whole reason I just spent $100 on protein products. It was straight through Instagram. Let's not even lie. They know how to get me, that's for sure. Ariel, I'm going with all 4. She's like, Switzerland. I like all of you. All of you. Bank with me. No.
Seriously.
I like these reasons though, right? Instagram for consistently branding and gaining followers, right? Zoom for personalization and community. YouTube for permanent content that people can access and always go back to. And Facebook Live to complement Instagram, but also reach a different demographic. I think you're kind of nailing it right here, Ariel. And everybody agree with that, right? That's a pretty good synopsis of what's happening. Claire, all right. Now Claire's bringing this up and I think we can dig into this one next. The music issue does come into play. I still haven't figured out how to play any music with a Zoom class, but there are issues with IG Live and music copyrights. So you're getting all the music notes that I've got in one little nutshell. So there's 2 things here. Number 1, when we are streaming live, okay, have you guys noticed in just our Zoom rooms, there's 2 ways for me to share music with you. right? When you guys come in early and I've got music playing for you after you come in from the waiting room, it sounds great, right? It's crispy, it's clear, it's nice. That's me sharing my computer sound on its own stream, okay? But when we have been in live labs and I've started music and restopped it, you notice that it's a little bit different and it sounds a little bit more muffled. Well, that's because you're actually hearing it from my computer speakers into my microphone. That's where that sound comes from. So on Zoom, there's two ways to do it. Okay, when you are teaching a live class, at least what I've experienced so far, the best way to do it is to share your computer sound, but then you have to play with the microphone and the volume of it. Okay, what I have found to be best for me is when I'm playing music from Spotify, straight through my sharing audio, okay, I put my Spotify volume at the halfway mark, but I leave my mic volume higher. And then I have to be conscious, though, of the fact that when I'm talking, I don't need to yell into my microphone because I've left my microphone higher and my music a little bit lower. That's kind of been the best. But you also will notice that in that case, the visual stream runs at a different pace than the audio stream. There's a little bit of a lag. I'm sure you noticed that in live labs. And that's why for that first live lab, I did some videotapes for you when we were starting to learn 32 count music. I was like, we cannot risk having that lag between the visual and the audio. So that's when I utilized YouTube, because that was the best scenario for YouTube. I could play it and the audio and the visual came through on the video at the same time. Okay, but again, we were lucky. I could send that video to you. You could study it. You could practice it and understand the basics, but then we were able to have Zoom time together, okay, where I was able to see you and digest a little bit of that. But hey, how did I ask you to do your movement prep videos? Record it.
Mm-hmm.
Same reason, okay? If you were gonna do it live for me, the audio and the visual would not work and I would not get a clear idea if you were understanding that. So that's how I've maneuvered through some of that. So that being said, issues we have, so now you know Zoom's issue versus YouTube's non-issues with music. And then we have Instagram Live can also have a bit of a lag. I've actually seen quite a bit of lag with the live music. So tell me something though then. In Instagram Live, have you seen a lot of 32 count style workouts lately?
No.
No. So what have the instructors in the world done to adapt to that issue? What are they teaching?
Classes that don't require 32 counts.
Correct. Name two formats that don't require hardly any equipment and hardly any musicality.
Dance jam.
Dance jam.
A dance cardio class? Yeah.
Let's
Or
think a little bit more basic, like
Yoga and
HIIT, yoga,
Yeah, interval. Yeah, HIIT intervals.
intervals, Tabata.
Yep.
Okay, so that's what you're seeing a lot of, right?
Yep.
Or Pilates, that's an easy one too. So that's how these instructors have been adjusting. And maybe now you're just going, oh yeah, golly. Now the ones that have done 32 count music are doing YouTube videos primarily. Okay, so kickboxing. I sent you to Nicole Lofton, was one of the instructors. She is one of the most fabulous kickbox instructors I have ever known. I mentored her. I don't want to brag, but no, but she's fabulous. And she's done a very good job on her YouTube channel of using that for the 32 count stuff that she's been doing. Or Warrior Sculpt, right? Yoko, I know you're all about Warrior Sculpt. She's recording that because those are choreographed to the single song music, right? Right, so that's how she's managed that. Kaylin, yeah, she is, right? You're not the world's worst kickboxing instructor. And honey, even if you are, you know what? Nicole was once too, and I was once as well. There's nowhere to go but up. Keep that in mind.
Why are people not playing in 32 counts in Instagram Live? Is that because of the music doesn't sound good? Or?
It's because there's a lag. So when you are online, the way that the technology sends information out is One is an audio stream, and one is a visual stream, the video itself. Okay, so even right now when I'm moving, I can see my own video is just a split second behind what I'm actually doing. I can see that. And if I play music, it won't make sense then. It won't look like I'm moving on the beat. And when you have a class that's 32 count choreography or very dependent on the music, then there's a disconnect. And you can create a non-responsive, but a non-effective class, right? The experience that you're delivering at that point is less.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question? Okay, what else have we noticed about music on virtual classes?
I think it tends to be softer in order for there to be instruction. Like I'm not getting that same intensity with the music.
Anybody else feel like that too?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's the instructors competing with the music. So I think I found the music is in the background, so it's a little bit less motivating. So it's kind of a balance. You either hear the music or you hear the instructor.
Ethan?
No, yeah, that's what I was going to say, the same thing.
Okay. So what would be another way to possibly work around that? Is there a piece of equipment you could get that might help with that?
Microphone?
Microphone. What about a microphone? Have you guys seen an instructor using a microphone yet?
Yes.
Okay, how was that different then?
Her cues were way more clear, and she didn't have to adjust her music. She kept her music at the same temperature, the same, I don't know what I'm thinking about, the same volume the whole time. Yeah, and she just sounded way more professional.
Are you talking about Ashley by chance?
No, this is actually a girl I follow on Instagram. But
love it.
Yeah, the other thing is they're working out. Instructors are having to work out at the same time, so like it's hard. It's different. They're actually having to do the full workout as opposed to just cueing it or demonstrating.
Okay, so here's something that, number one, here's something you should know is that when you first start teaching, what you guys think you have is stamina and cardio endurance. You have no idea yet how hard that's going to be to talk while you're even doing just 50% of that class because your heart rate is elevated the whole time. I live in zone 4 and 5, which is why I can't lose any body fat. Remember the energy systems we talked about? Because I live in too high of a zone when I teach, so much talking, where even if I'm not doing hardly any of the workout, like I burn 400, 500, 600 calories teaching any class. It's insane. So, right, how is that translated into the virtual world now when you can't, as an instructor, take a break and go adjust form? Because in your regular teaching, my friends, you should not be doing the whole workout, right? It's not your workout, okay? That's not your priority. You show them enough to get them into it, and then you walk around and you coach, and you get out there with them. You get into the community. Well, you can't do that in the virtual world.
Yeah, people are relying on seeing you doing it the right way to make sure that we're doing it the right way.
And what you might see with the microphone is there's a fine line between having your voice be clearer and right? Okay, so let's think logically about that. A microphone could be a very useful tool. What would we want to use a microphone? Which of the 4 modalities do you think having a microphone would be useful for? Right, Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram.
I think Zoom.
Definitely Zoom.
Yeah, I agree with you. And actually, if you are playing the music through that single audio stream, sharing your audio stream, and then you have your microphone going as well, it turns out pretty well. You still can't adjust the visual stream, so that's still a sticking point. But yeah, it's helpful. What about YouTube?
Definitely.
If you guys went and saw any of Ashley Sestaida's YouTube videos, she's using a mic. I actually have the same mic. And she's been using that for instance, her cycle class, a rhythm ride class. If you go and just watch it for just a couple minutes, you can tell the difference right away and how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
And also with those long form videos, you can actually lay the song over your mic, so over your own audio. So like if your audio is super clear, you can lay the track properly, then the music will be super clear as well.
Absolutely. If you are ready to take on some editing and are able to do that crisply, then that is also an option. And that's a great thing to bring up, because with YouTube, like we said, you do have some of the option to do some editing with your video. You can add in an introduction, graphic or whatever, and that's part of building your brand even on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Right? Or at the end, what I have found for my YouTube videos is I can put like almost like a little ad. You know, when you get to close to the end of a YouTube video and this little screen pops up that says, click this video next, right? Well, you can control that when you're in YouTube, and you can actually say, well, I want to lead them to this particular video, right? You can control that. So you can do all that stuff inside of YouTube if you're willing to learn a little bit. I do my editing for YouTube in iMovie. Just, it's right on my computer. It's easy as hell. And you just can lay the audio track right onto it and adjust it super easily. It's very actually intuitive to use. So that's my suggestion to you. If you're willing to take on YouTube and want to do some of that, start working with iMovie and editing your videos that way first. Okay, so we've talked about our modalities and the pros and cons of each, okay? Got that. Got that. You guys are just nailing it today. Oh, music rights. Because this is a tough one right now. And here's a little background context as a lifetime employee, okay? And we're gonna talk about coronavirus in particular. When our gyms started shutting down, and I'm one of the master trainers that puts videos out there and clips out there all the time, branded, lifetime gear on from head to toe. I teach all signature formats. So I'm like, I drank that Kool-Aid and I keep chugging it. So we were told right away, you can no longer post anything lifetime related at all. And it was a legal situation. When I dug deeper, the reason was because of music rights, which can be a little confusing because, for instance, all right, remember Fit Radio? We talked about Fit Radio for music education. All right, one of the DJs I sent you to was DJ Abria Wooten, who happens to be my boss. She's the director of education in studio for our company, okay? She creates our own mixes for Strike is one of the examples, and I use her mixes only for Strike. There's no pop music in these mixes. That's actually part of the signature format, is no pop music. So I'm like, what? What do you mean I can't? What do you mean I can't post that? Like, who's going to be, looking up on this? But I was told right away, you guys, this is where I was a bit of a rebel. I was told to take my videos off of YouTube. And I said, okay. And then I didn't. I was kind of like going to play dumb because I knew that when this started going, my participants and members were going to want to go find those videos. And it has nothing to do with me making any money on YouTube. I don't get enough views for that crap. But okay, so it had to do with the music rights. They were just very afraid. And so they just had to do a unilateral shutdown of all of that. And when people started teaching virtual classes, which happened pretty quick, the rules were you cannot wear lifetime gear. You cannot mention lifetime. You cannot bring up the brand, and you cannot do signature formats. Mm-hmm. Now people are doing versions of, right? Like I mentioned, a rhythm ride. That's Amp Cycle. Okay. Yoga Sculpt is Warrior Sculpt, right? So we found ways around these legalities, which is the key to your music legalities as well. How many of you guys were at the Music Educational Forum, or at least watched the video later? It's okay if you didn't, you can always go back. That's okay. It's no big deal. But one of the things we do talk about is where can I get resources, 32 count resources, for instance, that I can use when I do virtual classes. And there are a couple of companies out there that have made it very clear that they have license-free music that you can use. It also explains why, have you guys done any of the Lifetime, the new classes that have popped up?
Yeah.
What do you notice about the music?
It's, you can't hear it, and it's
It sucks.
Yeah, it's like background elevator music.
Yeah.
Right? Like even for the 32 count ones, like Katie Haggerty's The Mix, right? That's 32 counts straight up. But that music was like,
Mm-hmm.
that was because of music legalities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So think about that. And if you're going to be using single song stuff, you'll get nailed. You'll get nailed. YouTube will literally just block the portions of your video that have that music in it. It's happened to a couple of my barbell classes, even though they're remixes.
Mm.
So that's why you have to use the non-original songs, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's ways around it. If you use a big remix, those are usually okay. Those are usually okay. And that's why if you go to SoundCloud, for instance, you can download some of those remixes for free. Even though it might have been the original artist, like, I don't know, Madonna, but it's been so remixed that it's no longer considered her song anymore. It's the DJ's song. So that's kind of another squidgy corner you can wrap yourself around.
Mm-hmm.
Also, let's just be honest. Usually the music companies, they're not going to come after small potatoes like us. I mean, like, really, what are they going to sue me for? My fish tank and my extra rum, right? My virtual reality machine.
That's hot. They may want to sue you for that.
Yeah, I shouldn't. Don't let nobody know you have that, right? Ethan, I see your question now. So now you can use normal songs and mention the artists and still be okay. Like mention, you know what? That's a good question, and I think that's squidgy. I've seen instructors do a couple of things to protect themselves. One of these will pertain to whatever you do. Have a waiver. Have some sort of a waiver that you put up. Abria has one. Sam Rinaldi makes you look at the email before you come to class, that kind of thing. That just kind of protects you legally if somebody gets hurt. Have insurance. If you're going to do it, it's cheap. But then the second thing is, I've heard some of these instructors go, by the way, I don't have the rights to this music. That doesn't actually cover you. That's like saying, I don't mean to offend you, but you're a dick. Like, what? Like, just because you said that, right, doesn't mean that you weren't offending me. So it does not cover you, so be careful with that.
I've just seen, because I've seen like in a couple of classes that I've done, that like they'll mention the artist of the song and like put some sort of like link to that song below their bio on the video. I don't know if that works too, but like, I don't know.
It works 100% of the time because a lot of those posts get taken down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, I get what you're saying, because I've done that with my hip hop class, whatever, like we'll do a portion of a song and I'll post the dance that we're doing and I'll mention the artist. And I haven't had any taken down yet, but that might also be because that's like, it's a 30-second clip. Something that you can also get away with is like how long the clip is. For instance, when you are producing YouTube videos, you can use up to 5 seconds of a movie clip without getting nailed for it, right? Like the production company won't come after you. 5 seconds at max. So that's when you watch some of those videos, like all of a sudden it'll do a quick flash, like a video, and then it'll flash back out. So music can be a little bit like that too. Like if there's just a flash of it, you can get away with it.
Okay.
It's just better though to be really careful with that, especially as you're just getting started. And you might want to dig deeper into that. Like, you guys, this is a deep, deep well of stuff with music legality. How does that translate into your everyday teaching, right? Like what about being in your regular club? How come this isn't an issue then? Well, because these clubs, they have umbrella coverage for you to be playing that music during your class. And that's okay, because you're not making money off of playing that music. You're not running a concert, right? you're making money because you're a fitness instructor and you're doing fitness programming. So you're covered inside of your clubs. And some of the bigger companies like Lifetime have more detailed coverage for you that they just take care of for you. So there's a plus and a minus to small club, big club. What coverage do you get? But when you're teaching in a club, don't worry about it. This is good, you guys. All right, so we talked about some music rights. Oh, here's the last subject that I really wanted to kind of put into your laps to make you think for a second, okay? The subject of staying in your lane. So, when do you think it's not okay to teach a virtual class?
If you're not certified, right?
Mhm.
Like now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that happening right now.
Yes, there is.
Like everyone is a fitness influencer, and I guarantee, right, exactly. That's why you have to really like sift through your content, because I have no interest in taking somebody's class who isn't a real instructor, and it's not fair to people who, you know, that's their livelihood.
So are these people that are doing these classes that aren't certified, are they charging for the classes?
Perhaps.
Yeah, maybe. There's a lot, like they do Instagram lives or just posting to their actual page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there's several layers to that. Number one, a lot of Instagram fitness influencers are just, they'll stick out 1-minute videos of their workout for the day. But it oftentimes has moves that are done incorrectly or that are contraindicated and are way too dangerous for most people to do. Another layer is now people putting out classes when they're not certified. And actually, I'll be really honest with you. I saw this with our PT certification program is running alongside us. They're running the same. And I have seen a couple of those students post about joining their workout program, and it starts this week.
Mm.
And it's not my place to step in because they're not my students.
Right.
But I noticed it right away, and I was like, I know you think you've learned a lot at this point, but there's still more to learn to round this out and have a full picture of what you're really doing. We haven't even gotten to special populations yet, you guys, right? Like, and then imagine a personal trainer who's putting this stuff out there as programming. It's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys want to be responsible. That's why you're doing the certification in the first place. Like, we're this close. We're this close. Just hang on a little bit longer. Now, where there is a little bit of room for you to maybe use this virtual platform is perhaps in a private setting where you can invite your friends and family so you can practice. Like,
That's what I do.
yeah, that's cool. That's good stuff, right? So no, you're not going to be doing it on Instagram Live or Facebook Live yet, but a Zoom call with some of your friends that have been supporting you during this time, like that would be dope. And you can play whatever music you want on a Zoom call.
That's like more like, hey guys, like I'm practicing, they're on this journey with you, as opposed to like falsely claiming that you can lead a group fitness class now, because technically we can't.
Yeah, I mean, it is important to talk about. I also just would not want you guys to get in any trouble for that. I think that would be worst case scenario. Break my little heart. Let me think. There was one more layer of when perhaps it's not okay to teach. And this is if you're certified. And this does involve staying in your lane. Okay, something I have noticed in recent weeks is people that are particularly trained, that all of a sudden, because they can't do that kind of a class in a virtual setting, have all of a sudden shifted and started teaching a very different type of class that they're not actually trained to teach. A prime example is cycle instructors that only teach cycle, that are all of a sudden teaching strength classes. And I watch it and I love my coworkers, but there's a lot of wrong shit happening. There's a lot of bad form, there's a lot of bad cues, and I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole if I wasn't 100% secure in it before coronavirus.
Right.
So Erin, are those instructors, are they group fitness instructor certified? I know you said they're cycle certified, but are they also GFI certified?
In one particular case I'm thinking of, no.
Mm-hmm. But if they were, right? I mean, couldn't they be teaching it? Maybe they're not used to it, and maybe their format's not, kind of up to par. But I guess legally, could they be teaching it?
Yeah. Yep, you're right. They have that certification. Now, what would it be responsible? Maybe not. Maybe. I mean, like, yeah, right. Like, what would you want to do before you started broadcasting that shit, like, live, right? Maybe you want to check in.
Yeah.
Do a little research and prepare.
Also, this goes back to like how to be a good coworker and a good employee, right? So, you're working, don't forget, like, you're going back to work at some point. So it's not each man for himself. Like, how is that going to negatively affect somebody that you actually work with? And to think of like the bigger picture, like, you all work for the same company. So you maybe want to start promoting that person and telling them like, hey, I want to, get back into group fitness. Like, you can do Instagram lives with 2 people. So maybe they can do it together. I would be aware of that.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah. And that's one technique that we use in studio when we are bringing people up and training them. Like when people want to switch from one part of the gym to another, right? If a yoga instructor wants to learn how to do extreme, another true story. I've been training one of my coworkers for that. And she would come in and she would take class for a while and she would study it and she would ask questions. And then I would invite her up on stage and let her do the warm up 1 week. And then let her do a segment of class so that we could work together and I could keep my eye on her and then she could get some feedback right away. And they grow twice as fast that way, right? Like, you learn twice as fast when you're able to do that. So that's a fabulous idea.
Or at least send your content to a master teacher before you release it to the public. So you can say like, hey, like, your form was completely off from 20 minutes to 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great way too. Send it off and get some feedback right away if you're not sure. And you guys are going to sit in that land for a little while. You're going to be unsure of yourselves for a while. That's okay, right? That's normal. That's part of the journey that we're on, and it's all good. And that's why we're doing some of this feedback stuff, so that when you are released into the wild, like, you'll be confident that between 20 and 30 minutes, your form wasn't complete crap.
So I have a question about, again, Instagram. And so I posted like core workout. You probably saw that. And after I did it, I was worried. I said, oh my goodness. I don't know, like, what about if somebody try it and then get hurt? But then, so my purpose of posting is because, honestly, so I'm building my Instagram, and for me, I don't know, maybe because of my age, being in social. So this is a new thing for me. It's been like a year of me just. I was not a social media person. I was not not even no. But then now I have a Facebook business account. I'm just, putting things out there. In my idea, which I'm not sure if it's the right idea, I think also it takes some time for people to get to know you. So, and also for you to practice, what do you like to see in your Instagram? I don't know, it's a process, at least for me. But then I was going to send you an email and say, is that okay? But then I said, well, many people are posting stuff like this, and I don't want to be irresponsible. I mean, I do have that other training that I took before from Lifetime, and I've been shadowing trainers too and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm far from like you say, I'm not. I need to practice my form, my strength. Like I'm insecure, but
Well, Kellemer, I think that okay, number one, you need to take into account that you have a slightly different background,
okay.
right? You have a medical background. Like you've studied some of this stuff. So you have a slightly different background and you have some slightly different training as you're coming into this. And keep in mind, some of the people that are in this course with us right now are actually already teaching and have actually had certifications in the past, right? So they might actually have different experience levels. So don't worry, this is not like broad sweep here. This is just for us to start thinking about this stuff so that when we make decisions to put stuff out there, we're just doing it responsibly. Now, one really great way for you to, and this is what the fitness influencers do, right, Ariel? They put out, here was my leg day workout for the day. Okay, and there's a fine line between shenanigans and programming. But it is okay legally. You're okay saying, this is what I did today. So that's, Kellemer, that's where I would put you in that category, because you have this background, this experience with medical, like neurology, and you've taken some trainings before. So you're not completely coming out of left field and doing something completely out of the blue. So, but that being said, of course, we just want to double check what we put out there. Is it shenanigans? Or is it like solid? And I did it, and this is my workout, and I would like to share that with you, and that it's sound.
I say to check. I mean, if you feel free to try it. If your doctor agrees, just make sure that you check with your doctor, something like that. I say.
Yeah, that's a good safety net too, is having that disclaimer at the bottom of your post, right? Just disclaimer, like make sure that you're like good to do this. Don't be an idiot, and don't do it drunk.
This may just be me, but and Kellemer, I would suggest this for you, but like within your Instagram profile, like for example, Erin says like in her bio, like Life Master Trainer, 5-star exclusive lifetime group fitness instructor, like she's like putting her credentials there. If I went to your page not knowing you and you had your credentials, which I'm sure you have some great ones, I would be like, I trust this individual because of that. Like part of staying in your lane, self-awareness for me is like, I'm not going to go start doing that just because I'm like, that's just not comfortable for me. Like I don't have a medical background. I'm going through this. Like, I'm not going to start telling people what to do. But if you already have some of that background, I would just put that in your bio on Instagram. It automatically makes you seem more credible. Like, I know if I pass the AFA exam, like that will be going in my bio. Like, hi, I did this. Mm-hmm. I have credentials. So
yeah, I have something in my bio.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. That's great. That's great input.
And don't ever let me catch any of you put fitness influencer in your bio. I'm going to come to your house and smack you.
Permission to come to mine, and you'll never see that. But
that a girl. I love it. You guys, you have come with some really great questions today. I would encourage you to keep thinking about it, because there's pros and cons to using virtual classes depending on what stage of this journey you're on. So right now, I mean, we talked about how could it be beneficial to you right now versus, once you actually have that test pass, that exam pass. Like if we're still in the situation that we're in, this might be your starting point. It might be. And that's okay if this is where you start, because you guys are just thinking about it now. Like, okay, I just want to be responsible. I want it to be effective. I know that I'm limited in certain spots because of the modalities and what's going on. But now you're thinking about it. And that's really all that it takes, right? Understand why you're making the choices that you make. Hasn't that been kind of an undercurrent for us during this whole course? Know your why. So I love it. This was a fantastic conversation. We are just hitting the 1 hour mark, and I appreciate you guys being here so much tonight. You're learning things that no other cohort has ever learned before in the past. So I think that is super dope. Are there any last minute comments anybody wants to toss out? That's cool. Can you hear my son? He's playing one of those games where they try to murder each other. Yeah. Crushing that mom thing today, you guys. Go ahead, kill your friends.
My kids are very quiet, so I'm worried.
That's probably even worse.
That is way worse. All right, you guys, I appreciate you so much. Have a wonderful evening. I will hopefully get a chance to see you on Tuesday. Thank you for the videos. They've been great.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin.